In this video, I'm going to share with you guys a very high probability trade, which was identified ahead of time using Bookmap. All right, so let's go ahead and get started into this video, and it's going to be very simple, all right? If you guys are new, just know the horizontal lines going across represent resting liquidity in the market. Darker the red, the more liquidity at that level. Now, I want you guys to pay very close attention. We can see this liquidity level right here. We're going to call it right around 19,050. Goes back at least all the way back to at least, early 10 o'clock-ish time frame. And I want you guys to pay very close attention. You can see the market comes up and does grab that liquidity, but how do we go ahead and take advantage of it? Well, it's very simple. First step, I want to identify the liquidity level. So then what I'm going to do, I'm going to come over to my day trading chart. I'm going to drop a horizontal line right across that 19,050 price point. And then we got to ask ourselves, how could we potentially trade this pattern? Well, it's going to be very simple, right? We need a couple things. One, we need to have the Renko chart that I use, the Ninja Renko. Number two, we need to have these two moving averages. There are 50 and 200 period moving average. When the 50 is above the 200, assume the market is in an uptrend. So how do we get involved in this uptrending market up towards that liquidity level? And the answer lies right here. Once price dips below the 200 period moving average, then we close above it. We can simply go long and look at this from a risk to reward standpoint. Our stop loss can simply be right below the swing point down here, looking to target all the way up here towards that resting liquidity level. Now I'm going to show you guys another example of this from today as well, but let's go ahead. In the ideal situation, we'd be risking roughly 4 points on this trade with an attempt to try to make all the way up here for 23 points. That is multiples of what you're trying to risk on this trade. Now you might say, Mike, this is a one-off event. Well, I'm going to challenge you with that. Let me go ahead and show you a second example from today. So now we're going to pay attention to the next level. See how dark this resting liquidity level is right here? That price point is 19,100. And you can see it's right around the 1120, 1130-ish time frame when we can identify it. Actually, we go up and we hit it right here around 1127. But that level, if we zoom this chart out, we can see that resting liquidity level has been there all the way going back to about 1009. We started seeing that liquidity stacked up towards that level. So Bookmap can help me try to plan out this trade well in advance. So now what I do is I go ahead and fast forward. So what I do now is I go ahead and forward my chart to the time period. Now, one thing to note, what do we see? We have a bullish alignment of the moving averages. So one, we could take a shot here, run up. Oh, we either get stopped out for break even or you get a target one and a break even on the trade. Well, what about right here? You enter right here, stop loss goes below the swing point, and you either get a target one or a break even. Well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. You get in here, okay, maybe you get stopped out. So let's go ahead and we're going to mark this one off, right? And that's going to be a stop loss of about 4 3/4 of a point. But then what do we see? We get another run back above the moving averages right here. And in this case, we're going to risk roughly 5 points on the trade. And then look, all we got to do is hold all the way up here towards the resting liquidity level. So for this trade, yes, we lost roughly 5 points on one of the attempts. But then on the final attempt, we were risking 5 points trying to make 18 points. Now, if you got in somewhere over here, it would have been a little bit of a better entry. But nonetheless, having Bookmap, being able to identify the liquidity levels in the markets, meaning where the big resting orders are sitting, gives me a huge edge in the market in determining where do I want to go ahead and target on some of my trades. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Bookmap, you can save 20% by clicking the link in the description box down below.